everyone. Welcome to Spirit Switchboard. I'm your host, Kerrilynn Shellhorn, and you are listening to us live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 in the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. If you are interested in finding out more about what UPRN has to offer, you can head to uprntalkradio.com. Find out more about the hosts and shows. There is something for everyone. It's not all high strangeness and paranormal, and there are thousands of archives for you to access and enjoy. So tonight, we are in Sudbury, folks. We're in Sudbury. So, I tried putting the green screen. You guys are getting the room tonight, not the green screen, because it was making it glitch a little too much. But we did a fast trip up here to Sudbury, and then we are back in time for Sunday because I have the Paranormal Dining with the Dead at the Coach and Lantern in Ancaster. If you've not been, you should really go check out the Coach and Lantern in Ancaster. It's got some pretty neat history, and every time we've done the Paranormal Dining with the Dead there, something has happened. Like, they participate. The in-house spirits participate, and it is so much fun. I love doing it. But you guys get this tonight. Thanks so much. Oh, James Grar, hello. Wiz is in the room. I've missed you, James, so I'm glad that you're here today. Wayne, thank you so much for being here. Hi, Heidi. No. So Michelle made sure, Wayne, whose underwear is that on the bed behind you. So Michelle made sure I moved everything ahead of time, so you won't know. So you won't know. Kiera Jade, it's nice to see you guys. Thanks so much for being here. So paranormal. So I didn't do a Paranormal Dining with the Dead. I was doing Dining with the Dead at 36 Kitchen in Bowmanville recently. And I asked folks about sleep paralysis, and it was shocking. There was people in the room. I personally thought I didn't know anybody that had that experience before. And my only experience really has been through media, through movies or in books, not having met anybody and not even having clients. Like, for as long as I have been doing this work, not even having a client having that experience. So I wanted to talk about that connection, about shadow man and sleep paralysis. And it was eye-opening. And on social media through Facebook, I have an intuitive mentoring group. If you want to join, please hang out. It's a lot of fun. It's called Kerrilynn's Morning Porch. And it was last night. We did a meditation and energetic cord cutting and all that kind of good stuff. And I brought it up again and I asked, and there was at least 5 people that mentioned having that same experience or having a family member having those experiences of sleep paralysis. And I know that I had mentioned to Michelle just prior to the show about the old hag, and there was a couple of people that mentioned that as well too. So I was really grateful that Michelle has agreed to come on the show to talk about those things, because I really don't have a lot of experience about it, but I'm excited to learn more, and I've always got lots of questions about it. So yeah, so friend, our network manager, host of The Outer Realm and Beyond the Outer Realm, the lovely Michelle Desrochers.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm going to get a lot of teasing about doing the show from the hotel room.
You're in my hometown. You are.
Yes. And I get car sick so easily. So I couldn't look on my phone. I was going to look up some like weird facts about Sudbury, but then I thought I could just ask you, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm from the Sault Ste. Marie. We're both from up this way, right? Because I'm from outside of Sault Ste. Marie, and there's lots of folklore.
Yes.
High strangeness and paranormal.
I wish I had known you when I was living up there. We would have had a lot of fun. So I spent a lot of time up in Lake Superior and up in Sault Ste. Marie and going up through that whole area near Wawa. I loved it up there.
Me too. My my uncle, my grandma's brother, used to he lived in Wawa until he passed. And when he passed, everybody showed up at his funeral. We used to say he was the mayor. He was the mayor of Wawa when he really wasn't. But that drive, we always did it so that we could go up and see Uncle Francis, right? And the stories, he had stories as well too. And my grandpa.
They always have the best stories.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
I found out more as an adult, like my father would telling me all this stuff. Like, you made me feel very silly as a young person, thinking I had all these crazy ideas. Now I'm an adult and you're telling me all this stuff. And he goes, well, I didn't want to unsettle you. I'm unsettled now.
Yes.
What the hell was that about?
I know. Crazy,
exactly.
Right? So when I was younger, having the same experiences, my grandpa, they all told me it was just my imagination. It's not really, and just kind of quietly not talk about things, right? And it turns out it was his dad that built that farmhouse, who used to read tea leaves and see things and give readings. We found newspaper articles about him.
Wow.
Newspaper articles. How could they have newspaper articles and then tell me I was imagining shit?
Yeah. Meanwhile, they make you feel like you're the crazy one.
Yeah. Gaslighting. There's a term.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful thing.
Gaslighting. Let's call up some folks. Oh, Sherry Madigan's popping in. Hi, Sherry. Denise Mitz. Leslie Green. Hello. Julie Dow. Thank you so much for being here as well. Heidi Cole, thank you so much for all that you do in supporting our network and all the hosts and shows. We appreciate all that you do for us. I don't even know how you do it, but she lines us all up, all the shows, all our banners, and then posts it everywhere. Awesome. It's fabulous.
I'm not on social media a whole lot. I throw my stuff up and then I'm always running around, but it's just like I catch it here and there, and it was the big prayer hands and hearts and love and light and all that fun stuff. Part of our UPRN family.
Definitely part of the family. Hi, Carrie. Carrie, we are heading to Calgary this summer too, so got some things happening in Calgary.
Nice. You gonna stay? Things seem to be much more settled out that way. Just saying.
No, well, I have a son that lives there, right? My son lives there. He doesn't plan on leaving to come back. Hi, April. He's there to stay for sure.
Yeah, don't blame him. Move everybody on out there.
Cheryl Morrison, hello. Carrie, I will reach out for sure. Hi, Sandy Kordick. So, Sandy, your ears must have been chiming today. I was asking about the theaters that are close to you. Sandy's in Prince Edward Island. Ooh. So there's
lots out there.
There is a lot of paranormal stuff on the island for sure.
And, there's great stuff out there. And it's the right size. You could just hit up all kinds of them while you're there too.
So it's fun to blend it up though, right? Like when you're doing this kind of stuff, I don't know if you feel the same way when we're on for work, right? There's things that we have to do to be on when we're doing paranormal stuff. And then when we're doing it personally, it's different, right? Yes. So I try to make sure it's blended, that I get time to do the personal too. Do you?
I no matter where I've traveled in the world, for me, it always seems to end up merged together.
Yeah, me too.
Because you start off thinking, oh, I have some downtime. I want to do this. And then all of a sudden you're switched on. Or even if I'm working, and I find myself someplace, I end up, it's just always together. We are one. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You adapt.
I mean, we say that we can turn it off and on, but.
Yes. Now, these days I'm in like red alert all the time.
No kidding.
Yes. No switching off ever.
No, it's exhausting.
It is, but you have to be. You have to be, because it's just different times. It's not, there's not a whole lot of like downtime, relax time,
No.
not with everything. So I'd rather see it coming than not. I'll forfeit the sleep for it too. Oh.
Nancy, Darlene, it's so great to see you. Thank you so much for hanging out and being here. Wayne, you're so funny. I can't find that paranormal on switch. The paranormal finds you. I don't even think you need to have the on switch.
It just doesn't admit it. It doesn't admit it. So
I agree. So sleep paralysis. I honestly, I had heard the term, had heard people talk about it, but like the Haunting of Hill House, I don't know if you watch Haunting of the Hill House.
I have. Yeah.
That sleep paralysis. So that was kind of like my exposure, or reading it in books. Like media has been the exposure. So it was eye-opening when I popped that question out to folks, how many people actually had. And
I have.
One lady, she was very, her fear was very palpable when she said, I have. And as a child and an adult.
It's happened to me twice as an adult.
Really?
Yeah, later in life. Yeah. Yeah, you go your whole life without it. And I had it twice within I don't know, between 4 and 6 weeks.
So I have such control issues with that kind of stuff. That's where I would probably lose my mind.
Here's the thing, okay, is when it happens, if you can move even one part of your body, even if it's just a little bit, and I did, I forced myself into a sitting position when it happened. And that was hard, because it's like you just have this weight on you. But if you move even so much as a toe or a little finger, if you can get to that, the rest will follow.
So are you having those experiences of Shadow Man or the old hag, or there is those other frightening experiences visually or audibly that are like other senses at the same time? So if you're able to move, does all that end quickly at the same time?
Well, it's different, because you see, for me, it's trying to figure out why it's happening in the first place. So, and when it's happening. So you could be, for example, just getting into a sleep and it will happen. The second time it happened to me, I had a busy day. It was afternoon. The house is quiet. I think I'm just going to lay here with my feet up, and I just prop up the pillows. If I can fall asleep for a few minutes, I will. And it happened at that point. And I thought, it was shocking, because it was afternoon. You're barely closing your eyes. Whereas the first time I was in a full sleep. Now, I've always been into the paranormal, because you know yourself.
Yeah.
I don't go around saying, oh, I've been in the paranormal since I was 4. No, I had shit experiences when I was 4, and it carried on, right? Yeah. We are experiencers of high strangeness from the time we're very little, for many of us, up until we go into adulthood, and whether we decide to go, pro sort of thing, like investigate, or really try to get a good education on it through experience. But I also found out that at this time that this happened, I was having, now I can think back on it, extraterrestrial experiences.
So
there's the connection. Okay. So here's I was going through at that time at night, like between 2 and 3 in the morning, the whole house would shake, like the upstairs. And I'd be just and a silence, something would come over the house. I'm going, this doesn't feel right. It was just kind of like this sound. And I've since found out, of course, as an experiencer as a child. So you start to put 2 and 2 together, and you realize how connected everything actually is. So to get into the sleep paralysis, you would almost have to look at the similarities between, let's say, extraterrestrial abduction or contact in the boudoir, as I say, and having, let's say, paranormal experiences with the hag. Because there's this sense, like, people who have had sleep paralysis experiences, let's say, like there's this crossover phenomenon. So, for example, and I think that's when you're getting into multiverses and stuff, like the whole John Keel thing. But right, you want to say it?
No, that's okay.
So, for example, like I'll back up one quick minute. The similarities between alien abduction and paranormal, and I mean aggressive paranormal. Foul smells like sulfur is experienced in both. Bright white lights experienced in both. Crackling sounds experienced in both. A lot of times looks like little static lights as well. Experiences in both. Parallel realities, the sleep paralysis hag syndrome. People who have, and this is in not only extraterrestrial and paranormal, but scientific, where they feel a pressure on the chest. In the paranormal, we would call it the hag syndrome, where, whereas people who are having an abduction experiences are feeling a tightness and a heaviness. I did not experience that during that time at all. I did not have a heaviness. So I don't know.
And did you feel spirit, like that there was a spirit attack at the same time?
The Hail Marys might have come out. So, you do not feel like you are alone. Because both times I sat there, and what I think came to my mind was there's not enough room in here for the two of us, and I assure you I'm not going to be the one that leaves. And I might have said something along those lines. So yes. Yeah.
So okay. I'm going to hit some of these comments to make sure that people are feeling that they are part of this conversation. And then I'm going to come back to a couple of different things. Okay. Leslie Green. Sorry, I missed it. My brother-in-law has had sleep paralysis. It sounds awful. I hope that he only had it the once and didn't have to do it again. Same as Wayne. Only once for me, more than enough. I can imagine. Kira Jade, sleep paralysis is terrifying. I've had it probably a handful of times. Hopefully you don't have to experience it again. Thank you, Sherry. I appreciate that. Got here safe and sound. James was driving, so it was all good. All of the above. It was Wayne is sharing all of the above for me. It was being unable to move or breathe. There was a dark shape in the corner and the cat was losing his mind. Keith Ottersberg, thank you very much. Thank you for sharing me out. We appreciate that. The Otter's Den with the Rift Nation Network on Mondays, I believe. So similarities within the cases, like, is there a feeling of dread? There wasn't necessarily a feeling of dread ahead of time for you. You just laid down.
First time I was asleep. It's not like I'm a stranger to having things kind of wander in when I'm asleep. I have this like radar where my eyes will just pop open and I'll just look like I know when something's in my space. And in this situation, I'm laying there and I'm looking around. And, at the time I'm looking at this significant other going, hello, I'm in trouble here. And he just slept through the whole thing. A little bit of resentment there. Even though he didn't know. But I was like, fucker. Anyway, so then I started getting this sense, because my kids are really little. Well, not they're really little. I won't say that. They were younger. Like I sat there and started feeling like I wasn't alone in the room, and my eyes are open. I can't move. I had a projection on the ceiling. So I knew that the time was passing and it was a good minute. It seems like forever when you're in that situation. And in my mind, like I'm just going over this in my mind, and you feel like there's a weight on you. I didn't feel it in the chest, but my body felt heavy, like I couldn't move. And I just, of course, I'm thinking, no, I've got like my family in the house, and me being me, I managed to sit up, and it took every single ounce of energy I had. And I sat up, and then everything came back, and I'm just like, now I'm going to kick your ass. I'm trying to figure out if there's something that's got something I need to kick. Cause I didn't really know. I knew what was happening, but now I'm like, was there something responsible for the sleep to putting me in this state or not?
So then afterwards, like the paranormal hangover is a real
Yes.
thing, right?
Yes.
So is there a similar thing that happens after sleep paralysis? Like even a bad panic attack, your body hurts for a couple of
Mhm.
days after. So
Yes.
with sleep paralysis, is there that any physical symptoms or anything
Not for
like that
me.
after? Is it just like right back to normal?
For me, it was right back to normal, but I also think it was adrenaline because I was out of
Um,
that bed so fast and I'm just like ready to go. I mean,
folks in
I tore through the house. I checked on the kids. I double checked everything. And I'm thinking, I'm ready to go. So the adrenaline is going. If I wouldn't have had that, possibly,
Folks in
possibly.
the chat, if you feel comfortable sharing, if you felt anything afterwards, I would love to hear it. My light just flickered and it just did it again. So that's super interesting. Well,
Yeah.
going to be a night, I guess. We'll see
Yeah.
how it goes.
Lucky girl.
Yes, I'm going to have to tell James to sleep with the
Put the
depth
nightlight on.
side
Yeah.
down so that he can hear what's going
Sleep
on.
paralysis and going down. Yeah.
For sure. So Um, that raises a question. I thought of a question when you were talking about checking on the kids.
Mhm.
Or are there cases where the person that has the sleep paralysis, are they being held in that space while something else is going on within the house? Or more than two family members, like I
I
didn't.
personally believe, to me, it felt like I was not alone, and it felt like, especially the second time, I felt that there was more than one presence around me. But I mean that, let's just say the alien abduction scenario. People have reported being in a sleep paralysis position while there are different grays, for example, around them. So they're not alone. They know full on. They've seen shadow people. That's a norm. They see those. But shadow people move really quick. So, if they're moving around and it's really dark, you may not catch them right away because sometimes you're put in this distressed state, which is pretty much where they want you, Paranormally speaking, if you're there, I'll know you're there and I'll find you afterwards. So,
Because it's a frequency that leaves its own stink.
yes,
That
it
you can,
sure does. And
yeah.
I'm just like, okay, that's it for me. But I did have that feeling that there was more than one being there. So I mean, when you're getting into even the scientific side of things, there was a story I found very interesting because even science, you have this way of turning even scientists into believers. There's this story that I remember reading about with a Canadian physicist named Jean-Christophe Kerrilynn, and he was doing research in Japan and reported the following. He was working on the sleep paralysis thing, right? And he didn't believe in evil spirits and why people would be getting terrified, things like that. Like he just didn't understand the whole part of that because it's normal. Sleep paralysis is normal. And in some cases it is. But once a week, he started sensing a threatening presence, something very evil that was next to his bed while he was paralyzed. His ears would start ringing. He would feel a weight on his chest as he struggled to breathe. He felt intense pressure in his head. See, I didn't go through that. He said it felt like it was going to explode, but somehow he found himself being transported upward and looking down at his body,
Mm.
even though, he was up there and his logic is trying to set in. He said he was hurled through a long tunnel. Kind of sounds a bit like, the whole abductee thing with the buzzing sounds and everything.
Hmm.
And that's a science. That's a physicist
I
studying
love
sleep
that though.
paralysis. I know. That's one
But
for
I'm
us.
sure it turned his world upside down on what is reality and what isn't.
It felt a lot like an ET abduction, that one.
Mhm. Nancy,
So,
darling, thank you for sharing. She was saying huge vibrations, bright lights, and huge, tall, bright beings felt extraterrestrial.
yeah, that's
And
normal. That's part of that. It feels normal. And you
Kiera J,
get
thank
all
you
of
for
the
sharing.
similarities.
They're sharing that they felt panicky after, and that adrenaline,
The
rush.
adrenaline. Yeah. Yeah. That seems to be the norm. I think you can bring yourself out of it pretty quick if you go with the adrenaline. Just let it happen, you know?
Kira is sharing another experience was me laying in bed, faced up a large male evil thing with a cloak like fabric coming out of the wall next to me. That's kind of the things that have been expressed to me when I started asking folks about it. Was
that's a type of shadow being.
Yeah, and
had different
so
ones.
with shadow, I don't want to go sideways just yet.
Yeah, you go.
Don't want to go sideways just yet.
You decide.
Well, because then can those spirits, if they're spirits, dimensional beings, exploit that? Like, are people in that vulnerable state? So are they exploiting? And is it the dream state that opens a door?
See, there's this sort of like urban legend thing. Okay. And I cannot remember all of the information on it, but I talked about this on an open mic a couple months back. And Wayne and I have been watching this movie, and it was about this disc jockey. And this guy kept calling in and saying, something's going on, something's going on. I can't get into the whole thing because we'll be here for a while. But the gist of it was, apparently, the urban legend part of it was a scientist from a local university or school had been doing these experiments, and they were taking students and sort of putting them to sleep and letting to see if they could leave the body, go in and open this door. What I think had happened was psychically they were opening a psychic door, and then all of a sudden these shadow beings started going around, and they were going around the group, like they would connect up with people within circles, and people would die. I know it's an urban legend, but it triggered me when you said opening this door. I'm like, yeah, I see. I think it's just a metaphor. Like the students are able to open the door collectively. It's like this mall world thing.
Yeah.
Tulpa thing, right? But they seem to have psychically opened a door. And from that point forward, this town was being plagued by shadow people. Great horror movie, a B movie, but it was awesome. But apparently
I love B movies.
Yeah. Apparently this happened. And it stuck with us enough to talk about it. So, just saying.
I love that. We should do a whole show on that.
We should,
that, that kind of stuff in movies, right? And how they bring that. And I know my youngest son, he used to travel a lot during dream time, enough so that he would talk about things where I was like, there's no dream time work. Like, your people have to keep you here. There is no taking off, no flying around, none of that stuff. So that sounds plausible too, like that they would be able to open that door. But
see, I truly believe that
what all the other factors that would, like the land that you're living on, the cultural beliefs as well too. If it's the bed frame is like, passed down generations, who knows? Like, I just think there's so many other
transference of energy.
Yeah,
I've knew people who that's happened to.
Really,
it went into full on sleep paralysis, where she said that she was being touched, and then it started happening in the daytime, and it happened from this. Because it was a used bed that she got from a friend of hers, and the friend, I think, had I think he had passed at his own hand, and it just stuck with it. And then she started seeing shadow beings and things like that. It was insane. I'm like, get rid of the bed. She did. It stopped immediately. Right? Yeah. It was all a wood frame and everything. So she said she just sent it off. She just burned it.
So if somebody said to you that they had this experience where they had that sense of dread and that sleep paralysis, where would you start as far as, or where is the the red flag where you go, okay, we need to dig a little deeper into this beyond like, have you gone for a sleep test?
Mhm. Well, I have to say, nobody ever says they're happy they've had a sleep paralysis experience, but
No,
everything for me has gratitude. I put gratitude into it. I'm glad only that I had the experience for one reason only. So when people come to me, I have an understanding of
but
how
this
it
is what I'm saying.
feels.
Like,
Yeah.
where's that the line where you go, okay, we need to, is it the bed? Is it a portal door that's open? Is it
Yeah.
that you are intuitive and so you're
Yeah.
cracking things open as well too? Or is it like when do you, or do you just immediately start investigating as soon as somebody says, hey, I had that experience?
Yeah, I mean, because of the natural part of it, where science says, well, you look at the age, people between the ages of, let's say, 24 and 30 tend to, if they're going to have it in their lives, that's around the time it's going to happen. It was not like that for me. For me, it happened in I think it was my mid to late 40s. I was just kind of like, whoa, wow, that was something. you know, that was a thing. But I start looking at different things like that, like medications. Is there a
Yeah.
medication perhaps that could put you in this sort of a state? But then I start thinking, okay, the researcher in me, the high strangeness researcher in me says, okay, have you had any other type of experiences? For me, I had been working with a family that was having a whole lot of negative things going on. And this is when these two experiences happened to me, because when the type of work that I do with people, it can go not only months. You're lucky if it goes like 3 months. Most of the time it can go 3 years by the time you educate people enough to make them,
Mm,
it's different. Like, now things are done a little bit differently because I can just pull them. But the point is I also like to make sure people are educated, because if I go tomorrow and I'm dead, you're going to be able to take care of yourself. And that's the idea. I don't want people to have to rely on other people when it's
that's
just
right.
when it's a mindset thing. So we look at that. Then I ask you have to ask them, what were you experiencing in that time beyond just being paralyzed? What was going on in your mind? What were you visually seeing? How long did it take for you to pull yourself out of it? And, did you feel that you were alone? If so, what did you see? See, for me, I didn't see anything, but I knew things were moving around for me. So it's like, okay, then this is paranormal for
Could you have
me.
been being prevented from seeing what was going on around you then if it was an
Absolutely.
ET? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I mean, if you're going to be taken, or you're going to be taken, and this is the age old thing that many people state happens to them. But then there are other people who this happens to, and they don't get the whole paralysis thing. I think it's a comfort thing, right? So if but people who are experiencing this, I can't even imagine, you're seeing all of these ETs around you and you can't move. It's bad enough when you can't see something, but when you know what's
Yeah.
there, what's about to happen, I think that adds to the anxiety even more so.
Yeah.
So that's where you have to start. The visuals, the sensations, the smells. The same as any haunting, Kerrilynn, when people come to you and say, okay, well, I
Mhm.
think this is going on in the house. Okay, what do you hear? What do you hear? What do you see? What do
Mhm.
you smell? What do you feel? You start working through the senses. It's the same idea.
And and then beyond that, is there grief, trauma,
Yes.
other things happening at
Yes.
the same
Process
time?
of elimination.
Yeah.
How many times has it happened? Is it regular? Some people, report having these things like on a regular basis. It doesn't happen often, but I mean, I've met people that I've worked with, and it goes on for over a year, not all the time, but having even a handful of experiences in a year is a lot.
So I think with that, let me roll that back in. I feel, not I think, I feel that would create isolation. So that comes back to different types of hauntings as well, too, right? Where they create, divide, and isolate.
Sure. Sure. Do you know how much of it actually happens up here? I mean,
Mhm.
everything, because people forget how powerful we are.
Yes.
as human beings. We can project and manifest so much of it. And I have found in working with people through the years, just by educating them, when I say, yes, I believe you, sometimes that's all they need, right?
Mhm.
It's, okay, you believe me. This has happened. Yes, this has happened. Now let's explore how and why it's happened. And then you realize that this is a projection of energy. And I think sometimes it's easier for people to hear that something supernatural caused that energy to shift, as opposed for them to think, God, I'm really powerful and I did this. Because then at first it's pretty cool.
Oh,
Then they're like, but what's wrong with me?
yeah.
Caused me to
And
do it.
accountability is hard because then
Yeah.
you see where you need to be accountable in every area, energetically, spiritually,
Well,
emotionally.
and you're scaring the heck out of your kids or your family, and now you have to take that responsibility for them as well, saying, you know what, like I really spooked them, and this, yes, it's all me, hormones, whatever the case may be. A lot of times, that's exactly what it
Oh,
is,
yes. Just
right?
the telekinesis stuff kicks in.
Yeah. Yes.
Jackie, thank you
Right.
for sharing this, and thank you for being here. And Mish, I see you, and I'm coming down to your comment as well too.
Yeah.
So Jackie is sharing, I had it happen several times in my 40s and 50s. It lessened over time, very scary at the time. You want to move, call out, but you can't. Gary used to hear me making weird vocal noise, and he knew to gently wake me up. I never knew about some of the reasons you were talking about here. I'm glad that you're here to be part of the
Imagine it's going
conversation.
to be more unsettling, Jackie, and I'm sorry. You know, I apologize.
Yeah, that's okay. And we're going to get to that in a second too. Even more so.
Mm.
It's been a learning experience, life in a very positive way, but eye-opening and awakening since starting Spirit Switchboard and joining UPRN, that's for sure, for me. The things that I've learned and things that I ignored until I couldn't ignore it in having the conversations, right, and the different guests. So it's helping me remember lots of things. Mish was sharing, I would spin in my I'm not awake or asleep. Was told to balance yourself. When I did, once I astral traveled 15 seconds and got scared.
Mm-hmm. I can see that. That's a shock when you've never done it. Yeah.
So I have one go. Mm-hmm. Carrie, thank you for sharing. That's my attitude. Is my experience is good and bad with anything helps me understand.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, Kara, that's quite intense experiences, right? Like I got put on nightmare meds for a while. I didn't even know there was such a thing. Glad I haven't had any more since I decided to stop those meds. I would also be awake, not asleep, and hear someone rustling through stuff in my room, but I can't wake up.
Yeah. See, that's tough because even through fear, you can project out energy, you know.
Yeah.
People would say to me, you know, I hear footsteps going up and down the hall, doors opening, closing, but me, there's nothing there. These people, you can manifest. It's what they call like a poltergeist activity. It's a It's a projected. We project that energy, and that's the type of haunting it becomes, a self-projected. And when you factor that in, and you're thinking what poltergeist activity can do, I mean, you know, people have come up off the bed, you know, doors have slammed open, slammed shut, footsteps, furniture being stacked and moved, and people always scream out, demon. Not always. Sometimes you're more powerful than said demon, right?
I always like to think I don't lose my temper, right? Like I don't get mad, I don't yell, but sometimes I can feel it inside so much. So I think that I would love to be having that projection of stomping my feet and slamming a door just to let everybody know that I'm cheesed off.
You can in your mind, Kerrilynn. Stack a few chairs.
Mhm.
Just
Yes.
hip toss somebody psychically over into the couch.
Slam the kitchen cupboard door
Yeah.
a few times.
There you
Hi,
go. Nice
Adriana.
and easy. Nice and easy.
It's nice to see you. Do you know, it's some of the things that, yeah, I still haven't fully accepted.
Yeah.
I'm Kerrilynn's for you. Well, it's motel in Sudbury, Ontario. That's where we're hanging out tonight.
Yeah.
Sudbury, Ontario.
Used to be party town. Used to be party town.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. Well, but you know what? I never did.
No.
No.
Oh boy.
You're in Romania.
Very nice. Very nice. Late one then. You're 5 hours ahead. Why are you still up?
Party town. She's in the party town in Romania.
I know.
Do you find from your experience at this point, the people that have those kind of experience are also had experiences as kids but maybe didn't remember or were extra sensitive as well too?
I would say extra sensitive, yes. I don't know about having experiences. I mean, sleep paralysis is something that can happen to anyone at any given age, but as far as if you're a highly sensitive individual, absolutely. Like I said, when it happened to me, I've gone my whole life to that point without having this experience. And I happened to be working with a family who had very aggressive paranormal activity, very aggressive. I mean, I've got videos of this 4-year-old child, and he's playing. There's something sitting right there, growling and just talking in this really low octave growling type of voice. So I mean, this is stuff that happened all the time to this family. Someone had been killed in the house from the same being, right? And there's a long story to it, but it was intense. And this is what I was working through, and it took a couple of years, but this is what I was working through at the time. And this thing had visited before when I was going for my first walkthrough. It actually made it to my house beforehand, started doing the knocking and things like that. So I'm not really surprised that if this experience is going to occur, that it would happen to me during that time. This would have been the catalyst, I think, for me.
Can we promote Adriana and Annette Munich? Thank you so much. Can we promote their
Actually,
shows?
One of our hosts, yes.
Yeah.
Negotiating happiness.
Negotiating happiness.
Yeah. There we go.
I felt bad I didn't do that.
Mondays, 1 p.m. Eastern time.
Thank you. I always forget the time.
Yeah, there we go.
And the other half of Father Sean's.
Yes, Annette. Father Sean was on just before Spirit Switchboard.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Hi, Colleen. Thank you for hanging out and being here as well, too. And so I tend to believe anybody, like you can tell when people are having that visceral reaction to what they had, and it feels very different. Like the frequencies are different between a loved one that's in spirit or angels or showing up or those low frequency.
Sure, they wouldn't put you in a paralyzed state.
No.
When you're in a paralyzed state, it's to sort of, if you were looking at it from that standpoint, it's to incapacitate you and scare you. It's exactly what it's meant to do.
So do they feed off of the fear?
Sure they would. Sure they would. That's louche. That's exactly what that is. That's a still fear. All of the negative, what we would deem to be negative emotions and experiences, is something that they can feed off, and it can make them stronger. So my mind at the time, Kerrilynn, I mean, knowing you the way you know me, I'm laying there going, could be nothing, but it could be something. I'm going to go with there could be
Yeah.
something. And basically, it's like I said, not enough room in here for two of us. I'm not leaving. You're leaving. And when I get out of this freaking
Yeah.
bed, that's going to be the end of it. And I did. I got myself up in under a minute.
So the one and only time that I got growled at and scratched, that was the attitude I had after I had left the room and composed myself and then went right back in with an F you
Yeah,
attitude. Here we go.
exactly. Did you seriously just touch me right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's now on.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
will lose.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly right. And that's the mentality you have to have. It's like my guest last night, Ira Wolfnison, was saying. She goes, "Being different." I spent my entire life of having, this something like this around me my entire life, and it was being indifferent, and that's what allowed me to come through pretty unscathed, considering what it was.
Right. And being indifferent, I think, roll that back again, and I'm gonna use my feeler words instead of the think words, right? So
Okay.
yeah, that I feel allows us to navigate those places, like, where they say is extremely haunted and all of that stuff, and I've been to places and have fallen asleep just fine and stayed asleep just fine because
Mhm.
of that indifference. Like, I'm choosing to not engage in this because I know that I will be not nice in the morning if I don't get that sleep. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
need that full amount of sleep. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. So
It's every
I'm
man
going to
for
sleep
himself
and
is what you're saying. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
It's very
yeah.
funny.
Where other people are, are talking about the experiences. I mean, if I want to have the experience, I'm being open to it, but certainly saying I'm choosing to not engage in this tonight.
No, and you know what? That's really the best way to do it. People have always heard me say pretty fast for the last few years, acknowledgement is empowerment. I don't acknowledge you. It's just you're inconsequential.
Yeah,
You're just
yeah,
inconsequential to me or inconsequential in my life. And, stay empowered. Hold on to your power. Don't let the fear force you to give it up, because realistically, a lot of people believe that a lot of this stuff is manifested because of fear. So it just amps things up,
mhm,
like considering, the being that which formed my attachment, so to speak, for years until it was me who got rid of that. And that came from mindset and manifesting my own power and raising my vibes and doing everything that I talk about and preach today. There was no
yeah,
internet back then. It's not like, where did I start? I didn't have somebody at my
mm,
disposal to come in and help me.
yeah, yeah. And we have to walk our talk.
Yes.
And I think that we have to have that experience to really understand it and
Hmm.
to preach it. So I'm glad that you're here helping everybody out. That
Yeah.
you stepped in. And
Thanks.
you certainly have helped, because that stuff wasn't on my radar at all at the very beginning. So, this is coming up to 20 years of doing this full time, but
Yeah.
that type of haunting was not in my wheelhouse at all, really.
Yeah.
So you were very helpful and instrumental at the beginning for me with all of this, if I was needing to,
Oh,
especially families with kids. So
thank
it was
you.
it was helped me learn as well too, right?
That's the only types of work I would do, because it was my wheelhouse. There was so many people out there, such as yourself and other folks who when things are calm, it's easy, to go in and work with people from a calm place, and it can be more effective, to deal with
Yeah,
someone, because you're always just so calm and sweet, and I know you're just going to deal with it in a gentle way. Not everybody is like that. And for myself, I fought my way because I had to fight my way to get an understanding of A, where did you come from? B, who's going to win this? And it took, I think I was like 13, 14. And it wasn't until I was probably about 18 where I went, all right, this is it. And I had enough smarts to say, like I had held my own pretty good, and then that was it. That's when I just said no. I completely took control, and just sort of worked with that energy that was coming in, and realized that when I raised my own energy, and you get, because I mean, that's my family though. We're energy workers,
Well,
and I took it, I applied it.
for me, it was my kids having these experiences and mirroring it to me. And then it was, okay, so this is triggering all the memories of me having those experiences as well too, and then being able to support them. So that was how I came out of the witchy woo closet, was supporting families who had kids that were intuitive, but supporting them from that aspect, not necessarily from those, attacks. Like,
yes,
from having those kind of attacks.
because kids see everything. So they need to be guided. I never banked on my kids seeing things. I shut down at that point when I decided to be a mom. I shut down a lot of that because it was several years later, and I didn't bank on the fact that they were seeing and they were having experiences. And my daughter's like PKing at puberty. I'm like, oh my God, I'm dying. There's stuff going on all over me. So thanks to her, I sort of got back into that, that side of it.
Yeah. All of them.
Yes.
All of them. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful that they had the experiences that they did. And it's funny, I'm looking at Wayne. This is funny. So Wayne, mom, there's a huge shadow being at the end of the bed. Mom, that's nice, dear. Now go back to bed. Morning's coming early.
Yeah.
So Gavin had that experience, but it wasn't a shadow being in the space. He said there was a female figure at the end of the bed. And when I asked, because he was about 3, and he wasn't having night terrors or anything. It was another kiddo that was having all those night terrors, like frightening night terrors. So that was the next question. But Gav, he was like, I said, what does that lady want at the end of the bed? Because I'm not seeing her do it on her own, right? At that point. And he said, she's saying, Om Mani Padme Hum. And I'm like, oh, Mani Padme Hum? I had no clue. I had to look it up the next day. And I said, what are we supposed to do with it? He said, say it. So we started saying it, and it's the mantra for Kuan Yin, the goddess Kuan Yin. And it's about peace and harmony.
Wow. That's crazy. I know.
Like, he had all kinds of experiences like that. The other kiddo, he was having the night terrors. So are night terrors an extension of sleep paralysis, or is its own other bag of stuff?
Right.
That's my question.
Yeah. Well, night terrors, my daughter had night terrors as an infant. And if you could imagine. And it only happened when we traveled up north to Sudbury. Ironically. I know. In the crazy house. I know. So I don't know. Like, I've not met a lot of people that had them. She had them, and I was able to, to console her. So, I mean, to my experience, she's never even experienced sleep paralysis. So are they actually connected or something? I don't know. It's just, that's wiggy. She's never had them.
So I know for the clients that I've had with kids having the night terrors, it's always in that 2.5 to 3, and then ending by the time they get into JK.
Wow. See, my daughter had them as an infant. They're very small, never after.
But Ryan has also felt himself being lifted and moving through lights very quickly.
E.T.?
I don't know.
Yeah, Brandon sort of ended up at one point. He said he woke up and he was going through a window, which was physically closed. And then he grabbed onto the side and that was it. And he just dropped. He's also been an experiencer from a young age. He had a mortal fear of grays. He's 5 years old, going around the second floor, making sure all the windows were locked. And at 18, that had happened. And I was kind of like going, see, I didn't need to be checking those windows. Yeah.
So I've heard Joe say like that it's in the family structure, that they watch over a whole family structure, that it's
generational.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, from going back in my family, especially after talking with both of my parents, I thought it was only one side of the family, but speaking with both of my parents, it went both sides. And my one side, like I know like lineage and I know that there are very strong connections in there. So it's crazy, but time is irrelevant to them, right? Time technically doesn't exist.
Right. I love talking timey-wimey stuff, but it makes my eyeballs cross because I don't
right.
kind of get it all. So, Carrie, I get the mama bear thing. It certainly wakes us up to take ownership so that we can watch over our kiddos for sure. And Mish is saying, my daughter told me she would see spiders dropping down from the ceiling by their webs down to her. Never told me until years later. She has Addison disease. Now I wonder if that was connecting.
Kids are gifted. I think they can just get in and see into different realms. And I mean, mine have all had experiences like that.
Yes, James, I did miss you. And thank you. James pops it and he always reminds me about the station ID so I don't miss it. If you are just joining us now, thank you so much for being here. You are listening to Spirit Switchboard, and I'm your host, Kerrilynn Shellhorn, and you are listening to us live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 in the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. If you are interested in finding out more about UPRN and the hosts and shows that we have to offer, you can head to uprntalkradio.com. There is something for everyone. It's not all strangeness and paranormal, and there's thousands of archive shows for you to access and enjoy. Today, I have Michelle Desrochers, our network manager, friend, all-around fabulous person, host of The Outer Realm and Beyond the Outer Realm. And we were talking about shadow man, sleep paralysis. We haven't started talking about food, but I see everybody talking about food in the chat. Cookies.
Cookies.
We eventually get there. But we were talking about, kiddos and those experiences. And it's interesting to me too that the kiddos, I mean, it was that they, do you feel they don't share because they don't remember? I didn't remember. And then once it got triggered, so Wayne is talking about past lives or, that kind of.
I think kids are very forthcoming. I think part of the problem is the fear of not being believed. So if a child comes and starts talking to you about their experiences or having an imaginary friend, are you the type of parent, for example, that will say, don't be silly, there's no such thing as an imaginary friend? Or are you the type of parent that, I'm not saying let the kid run with it, because they can be the teller of tall tales for sure. But what I'm saying is don't discourage it either. You don't have to lead them, but don't discourage it and maybe see where they go with it. Because in my case, I have seen some very aggressive attachments and hauntings start with children
So that was
who couldn't talk. Right? They did not feel that they would be believed. They were made to feel silly. So they were easily bullied by the imaginary friend that came in, the shape-shifting imaginary friend. It's interesting because I've spoken to children and the stories that they tell me, and they'll tell me, and I'll say, well, why didn't you tell your mom? your mom and dad, and like, oh, they can see where they're not comfortable in doing it because they're told not to.
Right.
And then you see the ones who do tell, and the outcome is much different because it's much quicker to resolve. So just heads up.
So that sounds like an opportunistic. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Entity as well too, right?
For sure. Because you have to understand there are things out there that will go after the weakest link, and it's usually the pet, or it's usually the child, or it's usually somebody who may be suffering from addiction or disorders. That's who they're going to go after, Who can they get to not fight back as easily?
So would it follow if you moved as well too?
Sure, they could.
Like,
it doesn't mean they do. I mean, some people move into houses with the whole thing already there. But there are some people who pick things up by moving into a house. Some people pick something up just by, going to an event, for example, and just not, like I've seen it happen to somebody who was just, I think it was on the ghost tour, and there was one woman there. She's going, "Oh my God, I feel something. Oh my God." I'm just going, I don't think you should do that. And she was just taking it all in, and oh my God, yes, you can come home with me and things like this. Because she believed, she said she had ability, and she goes, "Well, there's this little child." I'm going, "That's not a child. I know my tour. I know a little child." But so she picked something up somewhere, because it's definitely not even an area that we had any sort of activity on, but it wasn't far from a certain activity. So I think people are just very prone to different things. I mean, do you have a thing like haunted people, for example, who will end up with an attachment early on? Maybe they made an invitation through certain avenues, and they're like, "Oh, nothing happened." Like I've had more people say to me in the last, 20 plus years of doing this, "Well, I haven't touched a Ouija board since I was like, 15 with a bunch of my friends." Well, it's not the board itself, it's the intention of you and your other 15 friends, or 10 friends, all making this invitation. So no matter where the person moved, it would follow. Like they're not bound by time or space. That's an irrelevant thing to them.
And I don't want to drop the Ouija board comment without adding, even a phone app, folks. If it is connecting, just
pendulum, phone apps, spirit box, voice recorder. If you are initiating an invitation to communicate, you are initiating an invitation, and some things out there take that very seriously.
Know how to close it. If you're going to open it, know how to close it.
Yeah.
And remove it.
Yes.
And we can't stop people from trying and doing any of those things. So it's being educated how to do it properly.
100%. 100%. There's the right way to do things, the wrong way to do things, or they just don't do it. So it's just, the balance, people.
Hang out with the people that do know what they're doing.
Exactly.
There's that.
Go to an event with Kerrilynn. She'll teach you how to do it.
Yes.
I love
doing the paranormal dining with the dead for that reason.
See?
Here's me.
Huh?
This is what accidents means.
Yeah. Kerrilynn takes it for the team. See, you don't have to.
And do you know what else I've done is I type it all out and I leave it all on the table. It's not that everybody's a reader, but and also have written out for everybody like how to ask the questions.
Yes.
How to ask the questions.
Yeah, it's just education.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love doing all that stuff.
They're fun. I used to love doing like the events like that. Casa Loma.
I've never been.
It's not as much fun anymore. You should have come out when we were doing the events. They're crazy. The crazy amount of things that happen there. They'll tell you now, of course, because there's this big, entertainment conglomerate. Oh, there's nothing going on. We had thousands of people come through those doors on our events. We'd have about 125 people a night coming in, and we were going several nights in a month. Who were many people just going, having experiences and sharing them, because we would all congregate afterwards and say, okay, what are the experiences? The voice recordings that came in, the photos that came in. That's what it's about.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? I've never voice recorded the dawning with the dead at the Coach and Lantern, because I feel it's not fair to record because I give messages as well too, right? So they've got the
Yes.
paranormal equipment, then I'm
Yes.
sharing personal things, so I've not recorded, but I think
Yeah.
maybe I will record this weekend, just letting people know that I'm recording up until I start sharing personal things and see what shows up, because things happen there every single time. Every
So,
single time.
and that just shows you that you have beings that want to
Oh,
communicate.
they
You
do.
have spirits that want to communicate. I used to get
Yes, they
the
do.
best recordings just talking to people, like talking to the families. And I mean, I'd be doing the tours and people would send me even clips of the recordings, with me talking, and the spirits are talking while I'm talking. Yeah, they were great.
Yes.
Yeah. Or if I'm consulting with a family, we'd be having a conversation and all these unbelievable recordings are happening. I prefer dropping my recorders, and I'd pick up phantom sounds and just insane things just by leaving it there. The recorders
Yeah.
had.
I picked up footsteps, like heels on a wooden floor
Yeah.
in a
Carpeted
padded,
space.
carpeted space.
I read those
And there
too.
was it was
Yeah.
like a
It's a
room where the
phantom
band
sound.
was practicing. Oh my gosh, it was wild. I loved
I
it.
love that. I love when that happens. You're
Me
onto
too.
something. We had chains dragging across a hardwood floor, and it was on a modern carpeted house. And in the same basement, there was this man walking on an old hardwood floor, which was concrete, on a squeaky old bed, and he picked up the recorder. You could feel it being handled. And I'm like, that is craziness.
Can I share a story similar like that?
Yes.
It's about the Coach and Lantern as well too. Like, they're getting some good free publicity here tonight, guys.
Yes.
But
Good.
I love working from there so much.
Yeah.
So recently in Ancaster, not that long ago, there was a fellow that went missing. Well, he kind of ran away from home and was missing that way, right? So people were
Yeah.
looking for him, but he was hiding out in the restaurant.
Oh.
Ate himself some food, was hanging out. Helped himself,
He knew where to go.
He's hanging out in the restaurant. And so he took gumballs and he hid these gumballs throughout the building. Hid them throughout the building, and then he left. So he was found and he's safe and he's home now with his family, and it's all good. But a few weeks later, they were hosting like a bridal shower kind of thing. And they were talking. The first people there asked, because they always ask if there's a ghost story. It's like a limestone building that's over 200 years old, and the courthouse is
just
across the
absorb it
street. They
all.
used to house people. They were unalived in behind. Like, there's all kinds of stuff to this building. And so I think it was Kelly. Kelly was sharing, the stories that have happened, and especially with the during the dining event with the dead events.
Yeah.
And so then she said, and there was recently this boy here, and as she was saying that and talking about, yes, these experiences happen, a gumball fell from the rafters down onto the ground. And so the girl was like, oh my goodness, that's crazy. Then she went over to pick it up and it was wet.
Nice.
Like, how would it have even been wet to begin with? Like, it was 2 weeks after kid was there.
It's a doggy old gumball. Nice. There's a memory for you.
But the lights flash off and on, and they will flash off and on in response to questions, and the door has alone off the pass through. It's a
I
wild
love
venue,
that.
folks.
I love an interactive location like that. I think it's great. It's just like supercharged energy.
Yeah. And I think they get to know you.
Yeah.
So because you're excited to make that connection and respectful. Like I'm
Yeah.
continuously respectful when I go in. It's like, thank you so much, folks. Just letting you know I'm going to have a new group of people here and you don't have to engage if you don't want to. And at the end of the night saying thank you so much, right? There's a
Yes.
way of interacting that allows you to get even more. And you
I
don't have to be
The
poking.
courtesy is, I think that you nailed it right there.
Yeah.
The courteous and you're including them. We would do that with the spirits at the manor. Every time I had an event at Casa Loma, I would walk upstairs. Sir Henry, good evening. Tonight we can be, I was always formal. Tonight we are expecting so many guests. We're going to start off in this part of the castle. We're going to do a separate tour over here. If you would so like to interact, please, direct everybody to do that. If not, that's okay. Everybody will be respectful and supervised. And I would hear footsteps, male footsteps. I could tell because of the gait and the heaviness
Yeah.
behind me sometimes as I was leading back to the main hall. So this became a ritual, and I think it's really important. I love that you do the same thing. It's
Yeah.
just like if they feel like, yes, this is my space, and thank you
Mhm.
for considering me.
And knowing that their death was probably traumatic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
being
Gentle.
mindful of how we're interacting, right? And
Yeah.
the people that come for that event really are hoping that their people come through later when I'm giving messages, right? So they're not
Yeah.
necessarily poking at the spirits that are there. So a
Yeah.
lot of times it's a great way to introduce the equipment and teach, because then
Yes.
they're kind of
Yes.
asking about, they're not poking about the spirits that are in-house.
No, exactly. And I think the respect is very important.
Agreed. I think coming back around to sleep paralysis and all of those sorts of things, do you find, I guess prayer would be setting your intention as well too, but blessings, having the space blessed, or
Mm.
articles, like a rosary or any of those sorts of things. Boundary setting, I guess, is what it does. It change things?
Again, I think you have to look at what makes you feel better. Because if you don't know why it happened, and let's say it really was just scientific, it will come down
Yeah.
to what empowers you and what makes you feel better. If if you're a contactee, or if you come to realize, like myself, yes, I'm an experiencer, and of not just extraterrestrial encounters, but also paranormal. So I had to factor in all three of those things. So in the end, I cleared the house, secured the property, battened down the hatches, and so went completely over the top on everything. But and then again, between 4 and 6 weeks later, happened again. Like, okay, repeat. Did the same thing, and that was it.
But for folks that may not want to accept that they may be an experiencer,
Yes.
that will continue until they do.
Not necessarily. Like for
No?
me, it's because I felt there was something there. Because again, remember, I was working with a family where
Right.
something had already reared its head for me. So that is a route that I took. Sometimes there
Right.
really is a scientific reason. You could be like extra stress or extra levels of anxiety, and that plays through into the physical. It really does. There's all kinds of information, with natural scientific reasons as to why you would be having these experiences. Just don't be like the physicist guy who just totally just shot it out of there and ended up going, oh my God, I'm having experienced something is happening to me. Right. But sometimes it really is a matter of having a scientific explanation. So it's not always like supernatural. There's this thing where it's like they describe it as like a neurological mix up where the brain is in this vulnerable, half awake state, and it interprets the inability to move. And then you end
Mm.
up with this high anxiety, which the anxiety becomes a threat, and you X up with extra sensory abilities. Like you just everything, you're hypersensitive to it. So that means you're hypersensitive to everything, which means something could be there. Some people get touched, everything. I don't know, but the hallucinations are not uncommon in that state.
Right.
Trust in your ability. If you are an intuitive person, trust in that. But always look at the logical side of everything and do in the end what you have to do to make yourself feel better, to calm yourself down. If you want to say prayers, you want to hang a rosary, you want to wear a rosary, you want to do whatever it takes to make you feel good and safe.
Yeah. And I agree. Like, I get that people they hang on to it, don't tell folks, but telling somebody that can hold unconditional space. So that non-judgmental space, choosing that person.
Tell
so
your
they're not going to
ethereals.
project their fear to you, right?
Tell your ethereals. Talk to the source.
Right.
Talk to the creator. Talk to
That's
God.
what I do.
Talk to your loved ones. They listen.
Well, and that's interesting too. When we talk about talking to your loved ones, talking to your ancestors, period. Like,
there we go.
it's
Yes.
people stay in this small, like talking to their loved ones, maybe 2 generations back, but there's way more than that are there wanting to support and help and connect.
Yes.
If you are tapping in on that other side, recognizing you have that power to help heal generational traumas so that they can step up even stronger to support you.
Yes. See, there we go. You don't need me.
I do.
No,
I
it's
do.
true. No, it's true. It's true. Reach into the ethereal side of things, because if you don't want to, say anything out loud or physical, just release it in one form or another. Write it down on a piece of paper, flush it down the toilet, burn it, do whatever, but put the thought out there so it's no longer in your head. Hi, Polly. So it's no longer just renting space in your head, because that's where you get into the potential of creating anxiety and fear that it will happen again. You might just manifest it for yourself.
Oh yeah, that's where I go. Click, cancel, delete. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Click, cancel, delete.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. I always include that, and thank you and the thank you very much. I always include that, and thank you very much if I'm going to be asking for, and I think if I thank them ahead of time, then they have to act on it.
Yeah.
So I've already thanked you, so now you need to get on it.
Now you have to do it. Exactly. That's funny.
Yeah. Wayne, I agree. Remember as well that the time in which the person passed, so the time period that person, so they may not understand slang and lingo, so that we are using, try to keep a good mindset. It definitely helps. Yes, agreed. April, thank you for sharing. Using proper manners and etiquette is a huge help. Agreed. Alt, Control, Delete. That's right, Mish.
Yeah.
Polly Rotterman, thank you for popping in and saying hello.
Hi, Polly. Love you. I hope things are good over there.
So I had a shocking experience with my granddaughter. She's 5. And so I babysit her every day, get her off to school, right? And she was talking about Slender Man. Yeah. She's 5. How did she even know that?
I was going to say, where did that come from?
Not our house.
Yeah.
It was not. And I know because the experience happened yesterday morning, actually. So kind of set some controls on the YouTube channel as fast as possible, as much as I was allowed where I was watching. So Slender Man, Hat Man, shadow figures, all those different things. Can we kind of delve into some of that?
You're getting into, yeah. Well, I mean, you're looking at Slender Man being a tulpa, right? Sadly, so Santa. Hate to break it to the little ones, but it's. I mean, when you create something through manifestation, through thought, especially on a mass level, Slender Man was created in a chat room, right? And
Yeah.
the whole mall world thing, that's just like people that's like a combined dream state. People have mapped this place. It just goes to show you the power of the mind and the kind of connections that are made in sleep state. But Santa, of course, you think about it on a mass scale, the people who manifest and put thoughts into this being, right? There have been
Yeah.
paranormal investigators who investigate just the Santa phenomenon. And people have had sightings of Santa and elves
Gosh.
walking down the street. They just disappear. People have gotten visits from Santa, come into their room, and they get mad because they're awake and they scowl. And people are just like, what the heck is that? That's this freaking jolly dude in the jolly red suit. Not so jolly, apparently. Not so jolly. So manifestation is huge.
Yeah.
So
That's wild.
heads
And
up.
Hatman is the same, or a Hatman is different?
Hatman, oh boy. So when you're getting into shadows, okay, you
Yeah.
have to understand what exactly are shadow people. Well, first off, they go way, way back, to many different cultures and centuries. There's stories of these beings that just sort of show up. And in some of the older traditions, people believe that they weren't even spirits at all, apparently. Not not all were spirits. So they were said to manifest, as darkness was maybe shifting. And some believe it's because they're either unwilling or unable to fully take form within the physical world. So as you start getting into other cultures, you can get into things like some people think that they're watchers. Some people think that they're spirits that observe the living without interfering. Other people believe that just restless souls who are just wandering entities moving through the edges of our reality, right? Parts of European folklore will have similar figures described as night visitors, only appearing to the really, really deep hours while, the world is still, which just happens to be one of my favorite times, but
Yeah.
apparently it's one of theirs as well.
So I've only saw a shadow figure, like, or it wasn't. So I don't know. Is it all the same thing? Shadow figure and a shadow man. Is it all the same thing, or does it
Yes.
energetically feel different? Okay.
No,
So I
they're
saw
all the same.
one
Yeah.
in a place that we were investigating, and it's darker than dark, folks.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. They are. But, there are entities that can come up that way as well.
Mm.
Shadow Man is just one of many different types. I mean, you have remember we talked about the hooded ones? Some
Yeah.
people see hooded figures or hooded monks. There are beings out there, shadow people that have red eyes, yellow eyes, orange eyes. Everybody thinks they're demonic. Not necessarily, right? Their eyes just glow. There's what they call the shadow, like the peeking shadow, who's always like he's tinier, like maybe child
Mm.
size, and he looks to look around from closets or doorways. Then you've got the black smoke or like a mist. Then you've got those that are in the bedroom. The bedroom watchers is what they call them. And they actually just they watch you. But some people get a sense when they come around of being choked or restrained, which makes me think that it's more along the lines of the sleep paralysis thing. Now, some people
Right.
think that they may be time travelers, or that just
So I've
people who haven't been
heard
able to
that.
manifest.
I've
Yeah.
also I think, again, I'm saying think, but I'm going to say stay with think today with this, or with this one.
Yeah.
I believe that I've heard Sean Kelly say, when talking about shadow figures and asking that question, if it's loved ones that are on the other side or our future selves coming back,
Mm.
and I thought that was a great concept to at least have a
There is.
conversation,
There's because we
right?
don't really know. Some people believe that some people believe that shadow beings consider themselves to be protectors of the planet and that they don't like people at all. They don't like humanity.
So
So they
I
do
would buy
whatever it
into some of
takes.
that. But
Yeah, see.
are there sensory things happening at the same time then? If there's no um, telepathy message coming or audible message coming, are
Mhm.
there other sensory ways of feeling them when they're in the space?
Well, I mean, I think so. You're getting into things, for example, if something like a jinn or like a demonic,
Right.
you will know when there's something
Right.
very
But
heavy there,
right.
right? Astral
So
bodies, that's a bit different because you're getting more into like thought forms. Some people think that people are just having astral projection and that this is maybe what people are seeing.
right.
Just us human beings outside of the body. Like there's so many different
Wouldn't we have more control, like
more
in pulling?
control.
Oh, like if it's an astral state, wouldn't we be consciously or not consciously, but wouldn't we be tapping into that they're seeing us in that same
Well,
moment?
well, maybe they're trying to communicate with us. So maybe we're not seeing them like a full on spirit. We're just because they're not completely manifested.
Right. Marilyn, Michelle just did you do 2 episodes about mirrors?
I've
This
done so many episodes about mirrors because people really seem to be into it. There is so much about mirrors. It's not like a cut and dry thing. There's a lot of information. But yeah, apparitions in mirrors. I guess you need to figure out which way are they coming from. People believe that mirrors are soul traps. Other people believe that if you put two mirrors together, for example, that it can create a portal.
Yes.
You can get into mirrors for scrying. There's tons and tons of information on mirrors as to why there would be something in it.
I love working with mirrors.
I like
I
mirrors. I have a black mirror. I have a huge black mirror, very old. I haven't scried with it before people get excited. No, I haven't, but it's too beautiful. It's too big.
I love working with mirrors for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Scrying is fun.
it is. It is. And
Yeah,
it
it can be.
I I I believe as with all of this, it's about breath work and that
Yes.
confidence that your divine team has your back. So,
Yes. Yes.
having
If you
that.
know what you're doing,
Yeah.
then I would think that you would be more than okay to do it. But I mean, this is something that goes back ancient Sumerian times, scrying in mirrors or
Mhm.
doing it with obsidian. Obsidian was really the way of doing it
Yeah.
way back in the day. But you know, I've done tons of shows on it. Really, you can go check out the archives.
Yeah.
They're pretty detailed. They're a lot of fun. But we did talk about some of that last night as well.
Yeah, I knew that I had saw it. I couldn't
Yeah,
remember. Thought it was this
yeah.
week, potentially last week, but I knew that you just did one about
We
mirrors.
did another one. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
knew that you just did one about mirrors. Um, and with scrying, it's everything from water to fire to, s
Mist, yeah, water, fire, just, fog, mist, things that you can do right at home. I mean, there's a lot of ways of doing it.
mhm.
I've got,
It's
like,
really
big
expensive.
50-pound crystal ball. Uh, that's fun.
I have a selenite one, but it's not 50 pounds, but it's a good size for sure.
Yeah. I
Yeah, yeah.
saw it, Kerrilynn, I saw it at this place called Jim Thorpe in Pennsylvania. It's one of my favorite places, and they had this little gift shop that had some of those incredible things, and I was just, prices were good because the dollar was par. I'm just throwing things on the counter because it was a nice metaphysical store, and out of the corner of my eye, I see this thing. I just don't want it's the size of a basketball. Okay. I saw this thing. I zeroed in on it and I just grabbed it. And I was like, I went to grab it and I underestimated the weight. It was like, because I was like, oh, yeah, it was wonderful. Anyway, it's a prized piece now.
Mish
I,
is saying that she saw red fog once.
mm,
That would be pretty cool, and apparently there's more to the story than what you are sharing, Michelle,
okay,
because
okay, okay. So Wayne also saw it. He saw it before me, but I didn't know he saw it before me. And he went to pick it up after I already had it.
it was like the
It ended
Cabbage
up in
Patch
the same
doll.
place. I know. It's ended up in the house anyway.
So funny.
It
So
was
funny.
funny. It was like if you were on the inside or on the outside looking in, you'd have been. It was like a comedy routine. It was pretty funny.
I love that. I think it's
It was
funny,
funny.
but I feel those things, those sort of objects call to us as well too.
Thank you. Thank you, Kerrilynn. Man, Wayne. That's
Yeah.
great. It was calling me from the other side of the store, apparently.
Yes.
So
And was Wayne picking it up for you, or was he picking it
for
up for
himself,
himself? Come
it just
on.
wasn't quick enough. I zeroed in on that thing like mine. It was mine. I knew it.
See,
See, it
that's
is right
funny.
there. See, she knows.
Yep. Why am I seeing a Gandalf and Pippin moment regarding the crystal ball?
Gandalf got it.
The Eye of Gondor, isn't that what it was?
Yeah.
That's so funny. Oh, I don't know. It's not. I'm having an issue tonight. That would explain why I didn't get that crystal ball. Nothing calls to me.
You look at it every single darn day now. There you go.
That is
That's
so
funny.
fun.
Yes. Anyway.
My small little selenite crystal ball sits on top of a coffee mug, of course, because that's all I've got is all those coffee mugs every day.
I love stones. I love stones. Even if they're rocks. I had a friend who sent me different stones from because when I was in the south of France, I couldn't bring anything back just because of the type of flight it was. But anyway, so he sent me different stones because I collected them all over the world. But these are from some of the mountains that surround Rennes-le-Château. So yeah, so I meditate with them, and they are like incredible. The energy is incredible.
I have an obsidian that is shaped into a Sasquatch that I will meditate with.
I love it.
It's a big obsidian Sasquatch, Michelle. I'll post a picture of it later. Because it is fabulous.
I love it.
It's fabulous.
I love it. The stones, especially if they're creative.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, people have given me rose quartz owls. People give me the owl stuff all the time. Just a little ET reminder, right?
Yes, and that's true. That's true.
Yeah. Carrie is saying, no, the queen overrode the king. Do you notice in the chess, the queen can move all over the board and the king moves one spot? Self-explanatory.
Queen rules.
Oh,
Mm.
Been waiting for this one. Thanks so much for the fantastic show topic. That's awesome. What is intuition, Precious?
Wow, we're on Lord of the Rings.
Now we're on to it.
Yeah.
So next week I have PMH Atwater, and she wrote a book about aliens and the connection to near-death experiences, and that's the title of the book, Aliens and Near-Death Experiences. So we're talking, that's this, alien conversation and near-death experiences, and maybe sleep paralysis will come up again next week in this as well too, and in that after fact, but we'll be talking about all of that next week. Oh, awesome. I didn't know that, James. To be given an owl is good luck. I didn't know that.
Learn something new every day.
I just see owls in a whole new light now with the alien connection.
Yeah, I know which movie you're thinking of too.
Well, yes, not just that. It was after reading Mike Clelland's book, Messengers.
Yeah, that'll do it.
And then, but I've loved watching that movie. I have watched it I don't know how many times. And it wasn't even based on a true story. It was all.
Yeah, but you know what was very interesting were the recordings. Do you know how many recordings I have like that are very growly? Mind you, I had a guest come on my show one time, and I did not know this. He said to me that tall grays or tall whites can growl. I would come on, because I kid you not. Goes, I've heard it as an experiencer. Goes, they absolutely can growl. I'm like, that sure changes the dynamics of some games, let me tell you. Because
No
I have
kidding.
hours of those kind of videos, hours of them.
It's called Fifth Contact, right? With Mila
Wayne, what was the name of that movie?
with the model, Mila
The
Jovovich. Is that the
I
one we're
can't.
talking about?
Yeah. That's the one we're talking about. Is it the fifth kind?
Because
Is it
she's the therapist, or the fifth
yeah?
fifth
Was it?
kind? Yeah, something like
Was
that.
it
Fifth
something like that?
something.
Fourth kind. There we go. It's close.
Fourth kind.
Fourth kind.
See,
Yeah,
I
that
was
was
wrong.
big.
Thank you, Wayne.
It's all those growlies. I'm thinking, I have recordings like that. I wonder if they used real ones or not.
And then at the end, like the house shaking and the lights and everything else, like that was.
That happens.
So it's the same actress, Carrie.
Yes.
In the Fourth Kind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they had to have consulted. That's what I've always questioned, is who they consulted, because even though it was a written story, there's elements of truth to the story.
Well, I think everything's like that. You know, when Paranormal Activity came out, I had so many people message me saying, "Is this true?" I said, "No." But the stages that you go through from invitation all the way into literally like possession, which is the most extreme, I thought it was very well done. It hit every stage. But when I saw the fourth kind, I mean, I thought to myself, these are incredible recordings, but because I've been asked to submit some of my recordings for films, and I've always said no, because I believe there's a great danger with some things if they bleed out into the atmosphere.
That's right. It's like an invitation.
Correct. So that's not a thing. Yeah. So it's like, no, I have to decline. So yeah.
I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight.
It was a lot of fun.
Hanging out and talking about this topic.
Have fun in the hometown and safe travels home. And everybody else, have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
So next week, folks, we have PMH Atwater coming on, talking about near-death experiences and aliens. Her book is coming out May 6th. So we're having her on the 8th. So it's going to be, I don't know, quick read, because I'm super excited about having this conversation with her. Thank you very much to everybody that's in the chat. Thank you for being part of the community, and you guys really help make the show what it is, and I appreciate all of you so very much. So thank you. So thank you to Joe Montalto, our owner of our network, so the United Public Radio Network, the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 in the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. I had a perimenopausal brain fart there for a second. Anyway, I hope everybody has, happy Beltane to all, and have a fabulous weekend. And I will see you back here next Friday. Have a good night, everybody. Bye.